Good day, everybody. Now we are going to tackle about the communicating and reporting to the senior management and the board. Yet this focus on the communicate annual audit plan and obtain board approval. First is we will have our short recap about the internal audit plan. So what's the inside of the internal audit plan, or what's the purpose of the internal audit plan? The annual audit plan, or just audit plan, is the list of audit engagements to be conducted in the coming year. It is a report of scheduled scheduled audits by process or location. The purpose of the plan is to define the audit work that will be completed each fiscal year, and it is a methodical approach that enables reviewers to focus on important areas under a review. The most effective way to ensure that a company's risk is properly identified and eliminated. A well-prepared annual internal audit plan will ensure the success of the audit conducted. Here's the sample. And now let's proceed to the communication to the board. So why is there a need to communicate the audit plan to the board and senior management? So based from the standard 2020 communication and approval, the Chief Audit Executive, or the CAE, must communicate the internal audit activities, plans, and resources requirements, including significant interim changes to senior management and the board for review and approval. The Chief Audit Executive also communicates the impact of resources limitations. So in this case is for the interpretation, at least once a year, the CAE needs to communicate the audit plan to the board and senior management for review and approval. The plan will include the information about the work schedule, the staffing plan, and of course the budgets. In terms of communicating risks and limitations, so any significant risks and any areas in which the CAE determines that the residual risk is too high must be communicated to the board. In addition, any limitations that have been placed on the scope of the plan need to be communicated. To this line, it will be thoroughly discussed by the next reporter, that is based from the Practice Advisory 2020-1 Communication and Approval. And now we are in the getting approval of the plan. So what is the thing to be considered in order the plan to be approved? When the plan and other information allow the board to determine the IAA is properly supporting the objectives and plans of the organizations, and if they are consistent with what the IAA is allowed to do under the internal audit charter, so then the plan needs to be approved by the board.
Standard 2020 communication and approval. The Chief Audit Executive must communicate the internal audit activities plan and resource requirements, including significant interim changes to senior management and the board for review and approval. The Chief Audit Executive must also communicate the impact of resource limitations. In addition, the Chief Audit Executive needs to communicate any limitations that have been placed on the scope of the plan. The Chief Audit Executive will submit annually to senior management and the board for review and approval a summary of the internal audit plan, work schedule, staffing plan, and financial budget. This summary will inform senior management and the board of the scope of internal audit work and of any limitations placed on that scope. The Chief Audit Executive will also submit all significant interim changes for approval and information. The approved engagement, work schedule, staffing plan, and financial budget, along with all significant interim changes, are to contain sufficient information to enable senior management and the board to ascertain whether the internal audit activities, objectives, and plans support those of the organization and the board and are consistent with the internal audit charter.
With a continuation, that the Chief Audit Executive must also report to the Board the following: the significant risk and control issues, fraud risks, governance issues, any other matters that require the attention of the senior management. This actually based from the Standard 2060. Standard 2060, reporting to senior management and the board. The Chief Audit Executive must report periodically to senior management and the board on the internal audit activities purpose, authority, responsibility, and performance relative to its plan and its conformance with the Code of Ethics and the standards. Reporting must also include significant risk and control issues, including fraud risks, governance issues, and other matters that require the attention of senior management and or the board. Any other issues that could adversely affect the organization and impact its ability to achieve its objectives should also be reported to the board, including conflicts of interest, control weaknesses, errors, illegal acts, ineffectiveness, and inefficiency. And that is how the Standard 2060 outlined the matter. Let's proceed to the timing, frequency, and the format. The timing and format of the reporting depends on the specific circumstances and issues. So why is it like that? It is because material issues that represent a significant risk to the company may need to be reported to the board outside of the normal meeting or reporting system. That is why the timing and the format is not in specific or in particular. And now let's proceed to the interpretation. The interpretation to Standard 2060 actually lists the issues that should be reported to the board. The interpretation. The frequency and content of reporting are determined collaboratively by the Chief Audit Executive, Senior Management, and the Board. The frequency and content of reporting depends on the importance of the information to be communicated and the urgency of the related actions to be taken by Senior Management and or the Board. The Chief Audit Executive's reporting and communication to Senior Management and the Board must include information about, first, the audit charter, the independence of the internal audit activity, the audit plan and progress against the plan, resource requirements, results of audit activities, conformance with the Code of Ethics and the standards, and action plans to address any significant conformance issues, and lastly, the management's response to risk that, in the Chief Audit Executive's judgment, may be unacceptable to the organization.
In this video report, I am going to tackle about the effectiveness of internal controls and risk management. But before I begin the topic, let us first discuss what is internal controls and risk management, in order for the viewers to have a better understanding about this topic. Talking about the internal controls, these are the rules and procedures implemented by a company to ensure the integrity of financial and accounting information. It promotes accountability and prevents fraud. Effective internal control reduces the risk of asset loss and helps ensure that plan information is complete and accurate. It also enhances the reliability of financial statements, and the plan's operations are conducted in accordance with the provision of applicable laws and regulations. When internal control is effective, the company have the reasonable assurance that their plan is achieving its financial reporting objectives. Otherwise, if it is not effective, the company have little or no such assurance. On the other hand, risk management is to help identify and document the organization's risks in critical business processes and the internal controls within each process to mitigate those risks. For all businesses, there are risks that exist and need to be identified and addressed in order to prevent and minimize losses. Risk is the threat that an event, action, or non-action will adversely affect an organization's ability to achieve its business objectives and execute its strategies successfully. Standard 2120 addresses the internal audit activities responsibility connected to risk management. Standard 2120 states that the internal audit activity must evaluate the effectiveness and contribute to the improvement of risk management processes. So in determining whether risk management processes are effective is a judgment resulting from the internal auditor's assessment that organizational objectives support and align with the organization's mission, significant risks are identified and assessed, and appropriate risk responses are selected that align risks with the organization's risk appetite. Relevant risk information is captured and communicated in a timely manner across the organization, enabling staff, management, and the board to carry out their responsibilities. The internal audit activity may gather the information to support this assessment during multiple engagements. The results of these engagements, when viewed together, provide an understanding of the organization's risk management processes and their effectiveness. Risk management processes are monitored through ongoing management activities, separate evaluations, or both.
The next topic that I will share with you is the internal control. Internal control standard 2130 sets forth the IIA's role in assessing the organization to maintain effective control and evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency.
Implementation Guide 2130. So there are implementation guide in internal control to promote continuous improvement in maintaining effective controls. So the internal audit activity typically provides the board and senior management with an overall assessment or complies the result of control evaluations accumulated from individual audit engagement. So the CIA can recommend the implementation of controls framework if one is not already in place. Additionally, internal auditors may make recommendations that enhance the control environment. So there are steps to promote continuous improvement and maintaining effective controls. That include first, providing training on controls and ongoing self-monitoring process. Second, facilitating control assessment sessions for management. Third, helping management establish a logical structure for documenting, analyzing, and assessing the organization's design and operation of controls. Fourth, assessing the development of process for identifying, evaluating, and remediating control deficiencies. Fifth, helping management keep abreast of emerging issues, laws, and regulations related to control requirements. Sixth, monitoring technological advancement that may assist with control efficiency and effectiveness. Be all from our topic. I hope you enjoy our presentation.